how comfortable one is feeling their feelings, is male or female, is going to strongly dictate how quickly one moves through grief. This is the same thing as trauma. The more willing someone is to feel the full depth and intensity of the feelings that they associate with that trauma, the more quickly they're going to move through the trauma. Again, I'm lifting from Paul Conti's words, so these aren't mine, but people use a number of strategies. They use distraction. They use states like, they sublimate to things like anger and avoidance of various kinds in order to not feel the traumatic feelings or not feel the breakup. People will, try and self-soothe with alcohol or try and self-soothe with multiple new partners or whatever it happens to be. It doesn't work. It just extends it because this map of space, time, and closeness needs to be fractured. And the only way to do that is for the brain to have to confront the reality, which is that whether by death or by breakup, they are no longer available. It's like the food on the other side of that wall is gone. It's just not there anymore.
I've lost women who I didn't want to lose, but I let them go. I didn't beg for them back. I didn't cry about it. I just let them leave. I handled it like a man. And the truth is, as a man, a woman doesn't even have to like you. She doesn't even have to love you, but if she respects you, she's always going to be around. And this is why if I love a woman with all my heart and she goes, I want to leave, the first thing I'm going to say is, fucking pack. Because if I say anything else, she's not going to respect me. Like, if oh, please stay, I'll say, look, I don't want you to leave. I would like you to stay, but if you're going to talk shit, threaten me, you get the fuck out of my house. Like, I've had women leave me, but I've never had a woman not respect me. And that's why I can hit up any ex I've ever had, and I know the one. Because they respect me on a base level. So why do they respect me? Because I respect myself. So I will never sacrifice my self-respect.
In a therapeutic environment, I would walk the person through their marriage. It's like, let's lay out the story and see if we can figure out where things went wrong. And I wouldn't presume to know as a therapist at all, because each person's catastrophe is very particularized and singular, and all I would be able to do in that situation is to listen to the account of the past, let's say, and to ask the person to clarify when I didn't understand, and to see if I could evoke from them a coherent and plausible causal account of the pathway to the catastrophe that was differentiated and detailed enough so that once they understood it, they would be less likely to repeat it. And that's how you recover from something like this. You recover from something like this by not being the sort of person to whom that will ever happen again.
Anybody who tries to get revenge on a woman,
way.
that's incel energy. That's a wrong way of looking at it. The only revenge you can get on a woman who breaks your heart is success. Success is the best revenge. Just level up slowly, and when she messages you, you got two choices. You can either say, sorry, baby, you're not my type anymore. Boom, you win. Or you could fuck her again. One last spin on the Ferris wheel. Yeehaw.
Yep. So that's the answer to the question. Put a plan together for the heartbreak if it comes, and make sure that plan is constructive.
Yeah.
Everything we've been saying on this podcast is true. Trauma's going to come, pain's going to come, and you have to use it in a constructive way. I'm not telling you to tell him to avoid the pain. I'm saying that when it comes, make sure it's used in a constructive way. And still to this day, that's all I would ever do. If something bad happened to me and I got really upset, I would find the most constructive possible outlet. And that's a conscious decision. You have to have the emotional control to make a conscious decision in that direction.
Now, why would one group be more, let's just say, effective at dealing with breakups? It's probably the ability to really feel the full intensity of how sad it is and be able to confront that. And here I'm a male. I've only ever lived in a male body, so all I can tell you is that I think from a very early age, there's an ability that, at least I'm sure it transcends to women too, or extends to women too, but learning to pack down feelings, right?
One thing you'll have to do to recover is to regain your willingness to trust. But it can't be naive, because look where that got you. It has to be wise and courageous. And so to recover from this, you're going to have to be able to trust again. But trust will have to be predicated on something like courage rather than naivety. And the courage is something like the courage all wise people have when they undertake a relationship, which is something like, I know perfectly well that you're chock full of snakes, just like me. But the best pathway forward, nonetheless, is for us to extend a hand in trust to each other and see if we can build a valid and solid and sustainable and iterable relationship despite our mutual inadequacies and our proclivity for malevolence. And there isn't a better pathway forward than that. And that pathway is predicated on the ability to adopt a posture of attentive trust.
Any emotion you feel should be converted into positive
influence.
Yeah, you should do good things with any emotion you feel. I can't. And what else are you going to do with it? And this is a genuine question.
Yeah.
What else? If let's say your wife breaks your heart, if you're not going to work, you can't sleep anymore. You're upset. She's running around with a new dude. You see her Instagram story. She got some new guy. You're furious and you're angry and you're jealous and you're bitter. You have all of this inside of you. But you're not going to go to the gym and work hard and become so fantastically in shape and so rich and so powerful that no girl ever leaves you again. You're not going to do that. No. What are you going to do with it? Text her? Try and explain to her? She doesn't care. Like, you can write the most perfect English. You can write the most beautiful words ever constructed. Forget Shakespeare. You can do, it doesn't matter. She doesn't care. She just doesn't care. She's distracted.
She forgot about you.
She forgot about you. So what are you going to do with all of that inside of you if it's not positive? Well, it's going to consume you and you're going to end up self-destructive, or you're going to embarrass yourself, or you can take all of that and put yourself in a position where it never happens to you again. Life is hard. Life is difficult. Maybe I've just been unlucky, which I don't believe in, but I've had so much trauma and bad events and negativity and stress and all these things that have happened to me. And I've used all of it to be monumentally successful. If I wasn't that way inclined with the workload that God put on my shoulders, I'd just be in a ditch somewhere. Yeah. I just would have killed myself by now. Like, I don't understand how people are functioning. If you're not thinking like me and you're going through life with any other mindset, you've been extremely fortunate that God smiled on you and allowed you to sit around most of the time doing jack shit, and you have yet to be punished for that. Yeah. I could never have lived that life. If I was a bit lazy or a bit, or I was a bit of a snake, or if I lied to people, I'd be dead by now. Yeah. Like, so a lot of these people are just absolutely and utterly blessed by God that they managed to go through life with such a non-competitive mindset and they're still breathing. Like, I don't understand how people can think any other way. Yeah. I've spoken to dudes and like, I had a bad couple months. Why? Oh, my girl left me. You've wasted months? You've wasted months over some. But the reason I'm the luckiest man on earth is because God has given me endless building blocks to build a superhero.
So I think the better that we can lean into the emotional states that we fear the most, but in a controlled way where we're not harming ourselves or other people, the better. The more that we try and avoid that and we try and sublimate or just, and I've done this, so I'm speaking from experience, I would use the anger or the sadness from an experience to just work 10 times longer, 10 times harder, to just get that much more focus. You're taking that autonomic arousal, that narrow aperture and that energy, and you're putting it onto something that moves your life forward. So in some cases that's good because you still need to function. But it can give you here I'll just say, it gave me the illusion that I was working through something because you get all the accoutrements and rewards of hard work. But what you don't do is remap that space-time closeness map. And then I guarantee you find yourself 5 or 10 years later wondering why you're so exhausted or why certain things in life aren't going well. And it's because when they say you haven't dealt with the loss, you never actually allowed yourself to feel the feelings. But once you do,